In this video, I'm gonna share with you step by step absolutely everything you need to know to beat 2000 rated opponent in chess. What's up, chess player, and welcome to the Journey to Grandmaster, the place where you can improve every single aspect of your chess game. And today we are gonna play against 2000 rated stockfish. I'm gonna walk you through my entire decision process. Let's just start the game. I'm gonna be white. I'm gonna try to attack them, and I'm gonna use this easy chess. Like, I'm not gonna try to come out with some fancy moves to make it unrelatable to you. No, just very normal stuff. Like, we focus on the development in the beginning. Center and development. Those are two main things to focus on when you start your game. So I'm gonna place knight f6, completely normal move. What I'm doing is knight f3, continue my development. My goal is to develop all of my pieces as fast as possible and to make it as active as possible. So I am gonna focus on that. He plays c6. Okay, probably we are gonna have the Slav defense after the move d5. I'm gonna play c4. Okay, my opponent is coming up with something weird. I have never seen anything like that. Well, I can say it makes some kind of a sense because it's going to be more difficult for me to play knight to c3. He's gonna attack me with the move b4, but in general, it's breaking this golden principle I was just talking about, the center. All of the most important actions are happening in the center, and I say it for a very good reason. It's not just a general statement, and I'm gonna try to prove it right here. So, do I need to really take it, or I can just ignore it and continue my development? Yeah, very, very intriguing approach. Maybe I can just play c5. Yeah, let me do that. Because I want to punish my opponent for doing this weird stuff. I want to grab more space in the center. That is why I'm playing c5. Not sure whether that's the best way. Because, yeah, he does have some point. He wants to play bishop g7, castles, and then maybe use this d5 square. But I thought knight d5 like is never a problem for me, because I can always play e4 and kick the knight away. Otherwise, yeah, just somehow want to make sure that my pawn structure doesn't collapse. Let me just develop my pieces. I said I'm not gonna do anything fancy, just normal stuff, so I'm gonna focus on the development and prove to you that you don't really need to come up with something special to outplay a 2000 rated opponent. I guess I'm gonna just take on d6, like he's attacking my pawn, I don't want to create a weakness in my camp, let me take. And I already see some inconsistency in my opponent's play. Like, either you play d6 and try to attack in the center, okay, he's not taking the pawn back, which is pretty weird for such a level. Or you play g6 and bishop g7, but you kind of not do both. That's weird. But anyway, you don't blunder the pawn like that. Or maybe it's a sacrifice I'm not aware of, just to get more pieces into the game faster. But anyway, g6 doesn't fit into this system at all. I'm gonna just play e3 and go on. Like, you don't care what kind of a weird stuff your opponent does. The lower rated you are, the more weird stuff you're gonna see in your games. But if you just follow the general principles, you're still good to go. You don't need to care about it that much. Just bishop e2, just let's bring all of the pieces into the game and let's see what the opponent is doing. He's doing his stuff, we don't care, we just castle. Just easy chess. By the way, thank you very much for Chestnut for sponsoring this video, because they have this amazing boards. This is Chestnut Evo, their most modern product that I love to use. It has this screen I am able to use here. I have the time. Well, my opponent is playing very fast, so he doesn't need any time, but I see my time. I can play on chess.com, on Lichess, using this exact board, which is kind of an amazing feeling. You are playing against a guy from Brazil, which is the other part of the world for me, and you can do it on a real board. It's just such an amazing feeling. Okay, my opponent is attacking me, so I'm gonna just play h3. So Chestnut currently has an amazing offer with a huge discount, and using the special link in the description or the promo code Journey to Grandmaster, you can take advantage of that. I mean, this board is pretty expensive, but they also have more affordable options. I have made reviews about it as well. It's called Chestnut Air, and I love that board as well. I mean, this is the affordable option to get a feeling of what such a board might look like, because it's a completely different experience from everything. Like, I'm playing chess for 20 years, but before this year, before trying these boards, I have never had anything like that, and I don't want to go back, to be honest. Okay, my opponent finally starts to make some sense from his moves. He's like making sure his pawn structure is solid on the queen side. He's opening up his bishop now. c5 is a pretty normal idea. So I like what he's doing in the last few moves. But like I said, I'm not gonna do anything fancy. I want to show you that you can actually achieve good results with simple chess, and that is exactly what I want to do. Now I have brought all of my minor pieces. Normally you want to develop all of your minor pieces. You want to make sure your king is safe, and then you need to finish your development with major pieces. Maybe I should have played a4, attacking the b5 pawn. I guess that is what I would do in my game, but it's rather a little bit more fancy. So I also have an extra pawn, right? My opponent sacrificed it. So maybe I can just exchange my pieces. This is the simplest strategy you have. Once you have some extra material, just exchange as much stuff as possible, because it's gonna make it so much simpler for you to convert your advantage and bring the full point home. Let me just take on c5, because when my opponent takes, I can exchange the queens, bring the rook, and finish the development. My opponent plays b4 instead, but I guess I can just go to a4, because he has to take that pawn at some point anyway. Otherwise, I'm not gonna give it back. Like, he plays rook c8, he doesn't take it. But I guess I can play bishop d6, although he can still take on c5. Doesn't really change anything. Then it's better to bring new piece into the game. In 99% of the cases, it's better for you to bring a new piece into the game than making a second move with the same piece. That is why I chose rook to c1 over bishop to d6. It's also simple. Just religiously focus on the development. Every single move, try to bring a new piece. So far, I have done just that only when my opponent attacked my knight. Of course, I cannot say, well, I'm gonna just develop a new piece and ignore the fact my knight is under attack. I'm not saying that. Of course, if there is a threat for you, you need to react, but otherwise, just try to bring all of your pieces as fast as possible. Okay, I have absolutely zero problem with exchanging that knight, because he also has some weaknesses, whereas I don't have any weaknesses. This is also an advantage of the simple chess. You don't create any weaknesses in your camp. Everything is rock solid, and this helps a lot. Because for your opponent, he can't really create any threats. He cannot create difficulties for you. At least it's much, much more difficult for him. Okay, I have a choice now between just exchanging the queens and playing queen to a4. I kind of like queen to a4 because I'm developing a new piece, and at the same time I am attacking the a6 pawn. I'm not sure I can take it immediately because, well, there is rook a8. Okay, he protects it anyway. But, well, my queen is pretty active and I'm still following my strategy. Now I officially finished my development. All of the pieces are into the game. And if you notice, my opponent pretty much did the same, except for this last move. If he would have played rook f to d8, he would also develop all of his pieces. Bishop e7, never go back. Following the rule of Bobby Fischer, never go back if you have such an opportunity. Only if there is absolutely nothing else you can do, then consider such moves. Okay, so now the next step, once we have developed all of our pieces, is somehow find out a plan, like what we want from this game. We have here a very open center. If that is the case, we don't really want to move our pawns. Like, in best case scenario at all, you don't move the pawns, you play with your pieces. Because it doesn't make a lot of sense. When I'm gonna move my pawns, it's just gonna weaken it. Like my opponent, he moved his pawns, but did it help him? No, it just weaknesses. It doesn't make any sense. When the center is closed, then you play with the pawns. If the center is open, or the center basically doesn't exist, it's completely free, then you play with your pieces. So I really want to remaneuver this bishop. I feel like along the long diagonal it's going to be a beautiful piece. So that would be the first step of my plan. In general, you want just to optimize your pieces to the best possible squares. My opponent is also doing that, knight e4. I like this move. But I'm going to play now bishop to d4, cementing this bishop in the center of the board. And it's a move with a tempo. Okay, he's going back with the knight, but this is a pin. This is a bit annoying. I can, of course, exchange it, but I don't really want to do that because, well, I'm gonna lose my two bishops advantage. Don't believe anyone who would tell you that the knight is the same as the bishop. No, in most of the cases, the bishop is stronger, even though there are some exceptions, of course. So to follow that logic, I need to go back. Yeah, maybe my queen is not that comfortable here, but I'm gonna be able to deal with it. My pawn is under attack. When your opponent makes a move, just forget about all of your plans for a second and think, okay, what is he threatening? What is the idea of his move? Well, the pawn on a2 is hanging. That is actually a problem because once he takes, then bishop b3 becomes an idea and I lose a pawn. I don't want that. So I can just play b3 and deal with that. But before doing that, I should also check what kind of opportunities I have, because maybe I have something better. Yes, my pawn is hanging, but if I win a piece right now, then it doesn't matter. So I need to start with the most active opportunities, checks, captures, and threats. And here, I don't have any checks. I have the only capture, bishop takes c5, but I guess it's not really great. Like, the idea is the bishop is hanging, but he can just take with the rook, and then the rook protects the bishop and attacks my queen. So that's a bad option. I'm gonna just play b3. Because this knight is now kind of pinned twice. Not only it cannot move because of the queen, but also the rook on c8 is hanging. That's why my opponent plays queen to e6. Maybe I should just bring my queen to the b2 square to avoid the annoying discover attack, and the queen is beautiful along this long diagonal. I really like it here. Knight e4. Yeah, like bishop to h8, threatening checkmate in one. Feels like a fancy move, creating a huge threat, but I assume it doesn't work because my opponent can just play f6, and then my bishop is in prison. Don't do that to your pieces. A6 pawn is also not really under attack, at least yet. The queen is protecting it. Yeah, somehow my opponent is going forward and I don't. I don't really like it. So let me prove the situation. Maybe it's time to bring my knight forward and play knight to e5. Yeah, knight to e5 feels to be a good move because the knight is controlling so many squares. You always, if you have an opportunity to go forward, and that seems like a promising move, should try to go for it. Yeah, that is important thing that I underestimated. The f2 pawn is hanging. It's not a big deal. I can still easily protect it, but still it's a little bit annoying. So I have the move knight to d3. I have the move g3, and I have the move rook to f1. So far, I like knight to d3 and rook to f1. Because g3, it might be dangerous if my opponent takes on h3, either immediately or after sacrificing on g3. I don't feel like I have enough pieces, and he's coming like g3, bishop takes g3, pawn takes, queen takes h3, this bishop on d5, it's coming, like the knight jumps away, and then, I don't know, queen g2, queen h1, checkmate. That would be very unpleasant. Or maybe g3, knight takes g3, pawn takes, queen takes h3, immediately threatening checkmate. This is not what I want to achieve. Maybe, yeah, maybe I just bring the rook back to f1. I mean, not really the move you want to make, because I have developed my rook. I want to go forward and attack, not defend, but sometimes you have to defend. Let's do that. Yeah, I feel like I have allowed my opponent too much of an activity, and that is not what you want to do normally. You want to be in the driver's seat. I mean, I'm pretty sure I'm still better here. I have an extra pawn, but it feels like my opponent starts to find some momentum. Knight c3, I'm not that afraid of. I guess I can just play bishop to f3, and that would neutralize the whole activity. I couldn't have taken the knight on c3 because the knight on e5 is hanging. But now, after knight takes f3, I am threatening to take the bishop. Once the bishop goes away, maybe I can just grab the knight on c3. Yeah, he plays all the way back to d8, which is too passive. Like, why would you take all the way back there to d8 when you could have played just bishop f6 and not allow me to win another pawn. But I have to be careful with it. Maybe there are some tricks. So before you make your move, like never make a move without thinking what your opponent can do. So before playing bishop takes c3, I have to calculate the lines. Bishop takes, pawn takes, rook takes. Now if he just takes, I have two extra pawns, no problems. But what if after rook takes c3, he plays bishop to f6 and pins my rook? I don't have rook c8, it just takes my queen. So I have knight d4. I guess that is good enough. Of course, I'm gonna have isolated pawn if he is gonna take, but this is like two extra pawns. That should be enough. Yeah, I don't see why it doesn't work. So this is how it works. You bring all of your pieces into the game, then g5 is too weird. Then you do your best to optimize the situation, and then you look for active opportunities, checks, captures, threats, both for you and your opponent. By the way, if you find the video useful, if you like it so far, consider hitting the like button and subscribe to the channel to make my dream possible, achieving 10,000 subscribers before the 1st of May, my birthday. I'm really looking forward to it. I prepare a lot of interesting events for you, tournaments where we are gonna play together, Q&As where I'm gonna be answering your questions, a lot of giveaways. I want to really thank you for supporting me on this journey. So please consider subscribing. Most of the viewers are not subscribed yet and watch the videos like 80%. So please do it. It's not really difficult for you, but it means the world for me. Thank you very much. Okay. I have no idea why my opponent doesn't want to take my bishop. Probably he doesn't want to simplify the position, but I guess I can just take. Yes, he has some activity there, but I never believe it can be enough. So I'm gonna just take on b4 because it allows me to exchange more stuff. Exactly. And I'm also creating a threat. I attack the rook there. Doesn't matter how many extra pieces you have, you always want to bring all of your pieces into the game. Okay, he plays bishop e7. Why not? Let's exchange more. Maybe I just play knight d4 first. Yeah, okay, that doesn't matter. Just if you have extra material, just exchange everything that moves. This is always the best strategy. He once again doesn't take my pieces. That's kind of annoying. Like, why do you do that? But I'm gonna just take the rook. I'm gonna threaten checkmate in one, queen to g7. Now you cannot ignore that. He still doesn't want to take my pieces. Very, very weird. Yeah, I guess rook to c8 is the simplest solution. Just bring as many pieces into the attack as possible. And bishop h6 is a checkmate threat. That is why he plays that. Yeah, let's just play knight h4. Once again, add another attacker into the field. This is always very useful. Okay, now it's time to bring the queen. So the more pieces you fix there immediately, the more pieces you bring, the simpler it is, the more threats you can create. Now, finally, I'm gonna be able to deliver a checkmate. So this is exactly how you outplay 2100 rated opponent in chess. I understand you might say that, well, he played not strong enough for 2000s, but even if we are talking about 1500, because most of you guys are around 1500 mark, by the way, let me know in the comments what is your elo and what are you trying to achieve in chess. But you see, we don't need to do anything special to beat our opponent at such a level. Just bring all of your pieces, just focus on the center, just make sure your king is safe. And then watch out for your opponent's opportunities. No matter what he's doing, don't ignore it. Don't think that, well, he's just stupid, he's making random moves. No, never underestimate him. And then come up with a plan, like a very concrete plan of what you want to do. Even a bad plan is better than having no plan, because then you have a structure, you have a goal in mind, and when you have that, it's much simpler to find the right moves. Now, if you are curious how it feels to play a 2700 rated stockfish, what kind of challenges you get and how to overcome it, I have made a video about it here. I played an absolutely amazing game. You can learn so much out of it. Definitely take a look.